Hi there guys, my name is Taras Makar and today we are going to create this animation. So first of all I need to say that I was inspired to create this tutorial by Sketchy Visuals. He has lots of super cool tutorials about particles, and partly I took his technique from this tutorial. I suggest you go watch it. It's super interesting and super informative. I just add some of my some things that I think are more interesting and a little bit more unusual, and created my own animation. So let's start. We start with creating a circle. So this would be our circle, and we need to scale it to 550 centimeters, and it is going to be our emitter. So I use my own layout which I created particles, but all this layout is doing, it's just all the steps in simulate tab, and I put them over here, so it just would be much more convenient for me while I creating particles. And I select circle and create spline emitter. Yeah, and all these tabs, they are over here, and you can create your own layout also if you want. So we create spline emitter. It already has a circle in its geometry tab, and it means that we are going to have this type of emitter. Particles emit from our circle spline. Also I made our animation, usually it's 90 frames, I made it longer, 300 frames. So now let's change some settings in our spline emitter. So first of all we go to emission, and we increase our rate of particles, let's say 10,000. Range, we don't want our particles we don't want it to be created, we don't want them to be created all the time, we want them to be created for 200 frames. And that's basically everything we need to change over here. Now let's go to properties, and lifetime we change to limited, and let's put 120 frames. Speed we leave as it is, and direction we change from radial to target. So now our particles are created for 200 frames. They are emitting in the center of our composition, and they live for 120 frames. Now let's create follow spline. If I'm not mistaken, follow spline was added in 2025 version. So if you have earlier version of Cinema, you won't have this modifier. So yeah, you need to have 2025 version of Cinema. We created follow spline, and now we need to add target where our particle which spline they will follow. So let's create another circle, make it 10 centimeters, so it would be in the center. Select follow spline and drag here circle. So now, as you can see, we can see some strange behavior of our particles. That's because here our follow spline modifier starts working, and we need it to work almost from the beginning. So we select follow spline, go to effect radius and change it to 500. In this way it will start working. It will have effect almost immediately after our particles are created, and we need to change some things. First of all, mode we need to change from rail to guide. Then we need to decrease our mix. Here it's 50%, we need to decrease it, for example, for 15%. In that way follow spline won't work as strongly as before. Next, here we have attract strength. This we also need to decrease, for example, for 0.4. And now we see that our particles behave much better, but they rotate for some reason, and to change it we need to decrease our follow strength. In that way, particles won't follow the direction of this spline, they will just will be traveling to the center of our composition. And that's what we need in this case. If you want them to swirl, you of course can increase follow strength. Now let's add a little bit of variation to the movement of our particles, and we will do it with our favorite turbulence. We create turbulence, and here we will create several turbulences. And for the first one I will put 2 centimeter strength and, for example, 4 centimeter scale. In that way turbulence will affect it in this strange way. So let's copy it, and here, for example, we will put 3 centimeters and 9 centimeters scale. And let's copy it again, 25 we will put here, and, for example, 4 here. And you can see when we combine 3 turbulences, we have much more interesting effect than we had with 1 turbulence. And yeah, now the animation looks much better. Now let's make our particles, let's make animation a little bit more interesting, and for that we will create friction. Friction works in that way that it makes our particles travel a little bit slower. For example, if I put here 100, you will see that particles almost stopped moving. So we will leave the number 10. But I want particles to travel a little bit more slow in the center of our composition, and for that I go to fields and create spherical field. Spherical field, let's make it a little bit bigger, something like 250 centimeters. And maybe it's not so obvious now, but here particles will start move a little bit slower. And also I want turbulence to stop working in this area, so I select all 3 of my turbulence, go to fields and put here spherical field. But in that way our turbulence will work only in the area of spherical field. So to change it, we again select all 3 turbulence and create invert. So now turbulence will work everywhere except this field, except in this field. So yeah, basically animation of our particles is almost finished. The one last thing, okay, there are 2 things we need to change. First of all, I don't want this circle to always be that perfect circle, so let's change it. This is our circle, let's rename it emitter, and we add displacer to it. So we added displacer, and let's go to shading and choose noise. We go to object, and here we will put 200 centimeters. Go to shading to our noise. Let's change global scale to 2000 centimeters, and let's make animation speed, for example, 0.5. And we can increase contrast a little bit. So now our emitter is animated, but I don't want it to have such rough corners. In order to change it, we select our emitter and interpolation change to subdivided. And now of course our animation will be much smoother. And you can play with animation speed here. For example, you can put 0.2 and it would look completely a little bit different. Now, the second thing we need to do is I don't want particles to have the same size at the beginning of the animation and at the end. So let's change it. We will create data mapper. We need to put data mapper below our emitter. In that case, we won't have any artifacts while particles are created. So in data mapper, we go to property. We leave property at H, but a property out, we choose radius. In that way, we will affect a radius of our particles. And here we would put not 100 centimeters, but let's put 0.6. Yeah, and now we don't see the change in radius of our particles. In order to see it, we need to go to particle group, draw, check draw radius, and here we will put 001. In that case, we can see the radius of our particles as it will be while we will be rendering our animation. So let's choose data mapper, and here in Spline we choose load preset and choose this preset. Now, yeah, here we have only 30 frames. It's too small, a little bit too small number. Let's put 120 frames, and we can change this spline a little bit. So how does it work now? It works in such a way that when particle is created at 0 frame, it would be 0 centimeter, it will have 0 centimeter radius. Then at 120 centimeter, during this 120 frames, particle will grow to 0.6 centimeter and will then shrink again to 0 centimeters. For example, if I put here 3 centimeters, we would see it better. It is created super small, then it gets bigger, and then it disappears again. So I will change it again to 0.6 centimeters. And yeah, that's basically our animation. And all we need to do now is render it and create lighting and material. So for our material, for our particles not to be this green color, we would need to use color mapper. Create color mapper, also put it below our emitter, so it won't create any artifacts. And here H is okay, but we will change upper. No, sorry, H is not okay. We need to choose velocity and extract magnitude. So I will remove this yellow color, and let's see what it does. We can see that here particles are blue and here they are red. So let's make it a little bit more interesting. Let's create upper, make it 225, and here we will make 25. I will increase the count of my particles so it would be more obvious. So yeah, now as you can see, we have a little bit more variation in the color. And how does it work? When particle travels around 25 centimeters with a velocity of 25 centimeters, it would be red. When it travels with velocity of 225 centimeters, it would be blue. And let's add a little bit more blue. Let's add a little bit more contrast. And in my case, I used lighting to create all the colors in particles. So here I made it white, and blue I will make black. So yeah, something like this. And now let's create material for our particles. Yeah, first let's create camera. We will center it. Okay, our camera looks in other direction. Yeah, that looks okay. Maybe move it a little bit closer. And let's take our material, put it on particle group. And now we need to take this information from color mapper and add it to our redshift material. In order to do it, you press C and type user color data, create a node, go to presets, particles, particle color. And if you press S here, you would see that now we have this information from color mapper. We have it here. So now we connect this node to base color. And here I increase roughness of my reflection, so I don't want these particles to be like reflective. Okay, that's basically all we need to do with material. Let's lock our redshift. And now we will create lighting. And lighting is a super interesting part here. We'll create simple area light. Let's move it to the right and add target tag to it. And in target tag we would add circle. Let's name it target. And yeah, so now our area light would shine in this direction. We would move it a little bit in this direction, closer to our camera. So yeah, when it shines from here, it would give more light to our particles. Let's make it a little bit bigger, something like that. And we would change its color. Here in mode we would change color to temperature and make it much colder. So I take this area light, press Ctrl and copy it. So I would have the same area light on the other side. And you could experiment a little bit, maybe make it a little bit smaller, maybe move it a little bit. So it's up to you. So this would be our lights from right and left, and we also need to create light that would be at the top. Yeah, so let's move it a little bit, change its shape, and I would make it much warmer. So now you can see we have this like gradient here. Our particle would be more cold, more blue, and here they would be more warm, more yellow. And I would decrease intensity to something like 30. So yeah, we would have like these nuance colors, but they wouldn't be like so strong. And of course we would copy it and put the same light down here. Now we don't have too many particles. If I'm not mistaken, it's 100,000, but when we will create 1,000,000 particles, this lighting would look much better. So yeah, let's do it. I would change my rate to 1,000,000. If I'm not mistaken, on my animation I had like 1,220,000, something like that. Because the higher number, there were some artifacts while rendering, so like around million was okay for my computer. So now, as you can see, our lighting, you can see it much better, and there are much more nuances in colors of our particles. And the last thing we need to do, so yeah, let's put it redshift camera here. We need to create this glowing effect inside. So we will do it also with our lighting. I create point light, put it here. Also change color to temperature, put a minimum 1667. And here we would need to increase our number pretty significantly. So here I put 100,000, and here I put, maybe let's try 2 or even 3. And you get this effect that when particles travel to the center of composition, they start glowing. Of course, you can experiment. For example, I can put 5 and this effect would be much stronger, but I wouldn't advise you to make it that strong. I think you can add glow, for example, later in After Effects while you are rendering. It's better to have it like not that strong as, for example, as this one. But of course, it's up to you. Yeah, so that's basically it. Of course, you can experiment a little bit more and tune lighting. Maybe, for example, make this light stronger, so you would see when particles are created. And of course, you can add some effects later in After Effects or whichever program you use. Yeah, basically that's all animation. We made particles, we made them travel as we wanted, we created lighting and everything we need. And the last thing, if I would show you again my animation, you can see that at start particles move pretty fast, and then in the middle of the animation they move like in slow-mo. And at the end they again start moving pretty fast. So in order to achieve it, because now I will decrease the count of my particles just for sake of this tutorial. Because now, as you can see, they travel with constant speed. That's not what we want. What we want is to take our particle group, go to cache, choose the folder where you will be caching your animation, but be careful because this cache could be pretty large. My cache was something like 100 gigabytes or something like that, because we have lots of particles here. So yeah, you would cache this our animation, press cache scene, and next I will show you my animation that I created in the first place. When you will cache your particles, your cache tab would look like this. You go to time remapping, and here you would have this spline. You choose this spline, choose these points, press right button and go to point types, soft. And now you need to remap our animation. So I remap it in that way that at the beginning it would play much faster, then in the middle it would be like in slow-mo, it would play much slower, and in the end it would again play much faster, the same as at the beginning. You can also add maybe a dot here and change it a little bit more. That's up to you, it's part for the experiment, or maybe you don't want to use it, but as for me, this last touch with remapping add add a lot to the final result. So yeah, that's basically it. Thank you for watching my tutorial. Please share your results in Instagram. If you have any, you can tag me on your post on Instagram or send it to me directly. The link to my Instagram would be in the description of this video. And yeah, thank you again, and to the next videos.